Look at the ship, the barge. What's the name on the back? Sandra? Sandra the barge. It could be like a children's book. What do you think about Paris, Lulu?
It's a nice city, and there's too many cars.
I think it's funny how Grandpa only honks in the horn maybe 5 times a year, where the taxi drivers maybe do it 100 times in one drive.
Paris is a storied city, more than most others in the world. It's a city that's synonymous with inspiring change, fighting for it, demanding it, forcing it. This is the birthplace of revolutions. And right now, a new revolution is underway, an urban revolution. I brought my kids here to embed ourselves right here in the heart of this rebel metropolis.
France's mythical capital has been immortalized in countless novels and films. Alphaville, Jules et Jim, Les Amants de Pont-Neuf, Belle de Jour. Paris is a city that allows you to dream, think, and feel while drinking wine. But beyond the glittering lights of the Eiffel Tower is a hidden Paris, one of struggle and hard work, one of solidarity and inventiveness. And that's the Paris I've come to explore with my 2 city-savvy kids, Lulu Sophia and Felix. The life-sized Paris, far from the world-class restaurants and the high-end boutiques of the Champs-Élysées. First stop, a corner cafe in the Bastille neighborhood. This is where Parisian filmmaker Cédric Clapiche shot his landmark film, When the Cat's Away, back in the mid-90s. Of course, Bastille hasn't escaped the clutches of the city's gentrification, but Cédric's neighborhood still has that village-like feel he loves so much.
Monsieur Clapiche.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
For me, Paris has the perfect scale. It's 10 kilometers, you know, from the north to the south. And
It's only 10?
only 10, yeah.
Periphery
yeah.
to periphery?
Yeah, and I think it's probably 12 east to west.
Okay, I didn't even know that was that little.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's small.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I'm 55 and I've always lived here and I don't know everything in Paris. You know, it's always a city that I need to discover every day, every month. I think Paris is more friendly today.
Despite all of the terror attacks?
Yeah,
and everything?
because I think it brought everyone together much more than before. It's, you know, it was really a sad time, but at the same time, something very enthusiastic happened.
After the attacks on Bataclan and the other places, we heard internationally that, you know, the next day or a couple days later, Parisians went out and demonstratively sat at the cafe and maybe were a little bit nervous inside. But was that true? I mean, did people really say, no, we're not going to take away the streets?
That's what we're doing today.
Okay.
So we had to say that we have to defend our way of life. We want to have drinks, we want to drink wine, we want to drink beer. Even if other people don't like that, we want to enjoy life. And you know, I went there at Place de la République. 4 million Parisians were there. And you can imagine what it is to meet 4 million people in the street. It was very strong. It's probably one of the strongest things I've ever lived. And it really relieved me from saying that, okay, we live in a dangerous place. We live in a place where people like to be peaceful.
Felix, if you feel freaky, get behind me, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Careful!
So Felix, you're a kid, you ride on the bicycle infrastructure of Copenhagen. What's it like for you to ride here now?
Kind of spooky
Spooky?
and confusing. Whoa.
I'm in what's technically a cycle lane. This is contraflow. You can cycle one way with the cars, but you're actually allowed to cycle the other way as well. We're traffic calming. We're actually doing something good for the city of Paris. We're calming the traffic. Look at this intersection. You got cars, you got bikes, you got 18 million pedestrians, you know. Somebody's out of place here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Welcome in Grand Voisins.
Thank you.
This used to be a hospital. 500,000 Parisians who were born here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like half a million,
Yeah,
almost.
half a
Oh,
million,
okay.
absolutely. It was one of the main maternity.
And we really are in the middle of Paris. We rode our bikes here, and I mean, and all of a sudden, you turn to the right, and you're in this huge, almost like a park in a way.
Yeah.
It's so massive. Yeah.
For years, this 365,000 square foot space was left for dead, right in the heart of magnificent Paris. And this made no sense to William Dufourcq. So, with his friends, he took over. He transformed the place into a vibrant community they call Les Grands Voisins, the good neighbors. The project now hosts a shelter for the homeless that accommodates more than 600 people, 30% of which are undocumented refugees, but also a restaurant, a brewery, pop-up markets, artist studios, startups, and even an urban campground. From the hip Parisian to the homeless, people from all walks of life come together here every day.
See the chickens? What's the perception of the people living in the neighborhood? Are they like awesome, or are they going, no, why do you have to do it here?
Well, it's very mixed. I mean, when we arrived, people didn't know us, and people were very much afraid of us creating a bubble of poverty in the middle of Paris. They were afraid of drug abuse, of people who didn't behave, of the price of their housing going down. So we had to discuss a lot with the neighborhood. Now, today, it's working very well. When we do markets, food market or whatever, a lot of people come from the surrounding.
Okay.
So over the last year and a half, the general feeling around has improved a lot.
What's amazing here is that the project isn't just about sharing space. It's more about creating a deep sense of community. Everyone here, from the undocumented refugee to the struggling artist, has to pitch in their share of volunteer work.
The people living here who don't have the money to go and buy food in the restaurant, by working an hour and a half, they can get a meal. We don't want the general public to be able to go and eat in the restaurant, and then for the people which we are housing, for them just to stay in the centers and eat the food which we are providing them. The idea is for them to be able to change, go and eat there, so they can get back in a position as a consumer. For 1 hour, you can get pants, you can get a phone. For 50 minutes, you can get a t-shirt, you can get a bag. In the restaurant, in a lingerie, let's say 1 hour, you can have a cake. Generally, 1 hour is equivalent to 10 euros.
Okay. If you look at the European average, that's a totally fair price. Yeah.
Absolutely.
He said 5 hours of work for a bag of chips. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
This is our main restaurant. That's where we have our concerts in the evening. And that's where we have the bar, or one of the bars.
Yeah. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
You're going to dry? Felix is going to wash?
Right. This is a strong economical activity for us. The selling food and drinks helps us balance the budget. People get back to work. From a relationship point of view, for ex-homeless people, it's quite good to be behind the bar serving the people. There's a good contact between people.
That's got to be dried. I'm going to go put these on the coffee machine. All right, I got to work too, right? Yeah. Sounds like 15 minutes of work. I don't know if it's... Yeah, there's no dinner, basically. It was only 15 minutes, so...
It's worth a coffee.
It's a coffee. When it's really, really hot, you can have a quick little shower to cool off, right?
Today, the kids and I are helping to build a small edible garden in front of the former doctor's quarters, transformed into a community space. Like everything here, the work is done collectively, pushed along by residents, tenants, and even visitors.
Do you work here, or are you a volunteer?
I'm working here.
You're working here, okay.
As a landscape architect.
Landscape architect.
And my job is to, especially in the urban agriculture.
So you're creating a little, it's an aromatic garden, but it is also urban farming.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to...
It's going to be like eating garden.
Right, okay.
Eating garden.
We're ready to camp, Sonia.
Okay.
You have a tent for us?
Yeah.
All right.
Here it is.
Felix, and me. Does anybody remember the number of the tent?
Yeah.
21.
No, it was 11A.
11A. That's cool, you can sleep in there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes We Camp, the organization behind this urban campsite, has pushed social diversity even further by bringing tourists into the mix. You can spend the night here for 10 euros, by far the cheapest accommodation in Paris. And it includes a hot shower, if you're lucky.
All right, who's taking the cold shower? You. Me?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. Oh, it's warm.
Oh!
Shut up!
That was cold. All right, shut up and brush your teeth. Let's go. What? This has been an amazing experience here at Les Grands Voisins, the grand neighbors. These old hospital grounds converted by many, many passionate people into something quite spectacular. It's an amazing experience in the heart of Paris, in a densely populated neighborhood. We're camping, but we have a long day ahead of us tomorrow, so it's time to say good night.
Good night.
Good night. The river. What I want to do is try and get down to the riverside where something really, really interesting is happening in Paris, something visionary. I just have to figure out how we get down there. Yeah. All right. But, like, I seriously don't know how to get there. Okay. We're here. This is the Georges Pompidou Expressway, one of the classic urban planning mistakes from the 1960s. Normally, cars are driving here, but Paris just decided a week before we came here to film that no more cars will be allowed on this section of road. It's going to be transformed into an amazing urban space. It's going to give the people of Paris the river back.
Oh, no. Oh!
Shut up.
Never let your kids win. Oh, look at the map.
Oh.
Cool. All right, there's our ride, guys. It's kind of cool. Early morning, Saturday in Paris, using the ancient waterways of this city. We're going to put some stuff onto the barge and sail it down the canal.
Allez, on va à Paris.
Let's go, on y va.
Ouais. On va prendre le bateau.
À Paris, hein?
Allez, les enfants. Le canal, en France, on l'utilise beaucoup pour le tourisme. Nous, on est les seuls sur le canal de l'Ourcq et en Île-de-France à emmener de la marchandise fraîche ici.
Marché Solo is the only charity or organisation in the Paris region to transport fresh produce by the canal. Right. Mostly the canal is used for tourism.
Christelle and her team of Marché sur l'eau like to make it clear. They didn't invent anything. This canal was built in the early 1800s to serve this purpose, transporting food to Paris.
C'est les produits qui sont exclusivement de Seine-et-Marne.
All of the produce is from a place called Seine-et-Marne. It's a county.
40 km de Paris. C'est vraiment local.
With this vintage solution, Christelle is tackling a very modern problem, traffic. And she's not alone. The city is in the midst of a radical 10-year traffic reduction plan.
Aujourd'hui, avec la marchandise qu'on avait pour Pantin, pour Paris, on a évité à 5 producteurs de venir, eux, sur Paris, en fait.
Are there other people who see this and think, oh, we want to do it too?
Ben, j'espère. Il faut que les personnes s'inspirent de ça. Après, la difficulté, c'est que c'est plus long. C'est plus long le bateau que le camion. Ça coûte plus cher aussi. Donc je pense le frein est économique. C'est pour ça qu'on va passer en électrique pour que ça coûte moins cher. Et c'est pour ça que le retour en fait, du bateau se fait avec des biodéchets verts pour qu'on remette dans les champs en fait, pour les producteurs.
This project feeds 700 people a week with fresh fruit, vegetables, cheese, milk, and meat in 3 cities along the Canal de l'Ourcq: Paris, Pantin, and Sèvres. That's 4 to 5 tons of produce each and every week with only 1 boat.
If you go to a market and try and buy the same produce for that price, I think you're looking at about the same price. Actually, you could do an experiment if you want.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
go to the market, try and buy 6-7 kilos
Okay,
of veg.
cool. So the price is not like, there's not a markup for
The middle
ideological markup.
No, absolutely. For if a couple could buy a medium-sized veg box, it's 15 euros. That's 2 times minimum wage in France. 2 hours of minimum wage in France. So there's no reason why people couldn't buy this.
Cool pont, un pont cool, hein?
Pont de Crimée. C'est un pont Napoléon,
Ah, okay, comme le canal.
comme le canal.
Ah, super. We've reached the end of the line on the canal here. We have a second team ready to take the produce off the barge and distribute it to the families who will come down and pick up their weekly or bi-weekly box of produce from the farms of Paris, just 40 kilometers from here. Just makes sense.
Tiens, let's go, let's go. Tiens, Michael.
Muscle it. Those are really big courgettes. Oh, oh man. Oh, merci.
C'est les dernières fraises
De l'année.
de l'année de la
okay.
région parisienne.
It's amazing how so many cities around the world suffer from short-term memory loss. Amazing highways were built 100 years ago by Napoleon to serve the transport needs of Paris, and they are largely forgotten now. This one project here are the only people using the waterways as they were meant to be used. The potential for using these canals, the potential for exploiting the farmlands around Paris to serve the needs of the people who live here is amazing. We're in the morning rush hour in Paris.
Yes.
We're in a bus lane.
On a bus lane, open to cycling.
Now we have a huge bus right behind us.
If you want to feel safe and be safe, you just look straight ahead and pretend they don't exist.
Pretend they don't exist.
Yeah.
Riding a bike in Paris is like playing a video game. You know, you always have an
But you
obstacle.
have only one life, so careful.
yeah, okay.
Charles Magan is the chairman of an advocacy group called Parisian, Paris by Bike.
We really want not to make stuff for cyclists. We want to make stuff for future cyclists.
Right.
We want everyone, the mother with children, to be able to feel safe on the streets.
Cycling was already part of the initial traffic reduction plan put in place by the city. In 2015, Paris adopted the bold Plan Vélo, the cycling plan, through which it promised to invest 150 million euros to double the span of its bike lane network. Plain and simple, Paris was to become the cycling capital of the world. But the plan was unofficially shelved because of an overwhelming amount of bureaucracy and a lack of political will. Unfortunately, the result, at least for now, is nothing like the original plan.
Do you see this here? This is a bike lane.
Yeah, where
Just
the cars
have a look
are.
there. You can see
Yeah, the symbols are there.
The symbols are there. The bike lane is never there because these trucks every day unloading stuff for these shops, I guess.
So now we're on a street with no bicycle infrastructure.
Le Grand Boulevard, very important street and very important to connect people. But there is no cycle lane indeed. Although if you look on the map they give of the Plan Vélo,
Yeah.
they say it's already planned or done.
But this is nice. It's a bike lane. It's protected from the cars. I mean, but it's kind of narrow.
On Sundays, it's pretty okay here, but when you're a commuter and some are coming and passing us,
Yeah.
it can be a little bit frustrating. Yeah, look, there is a sharrow for us to go there.
Oh, God. Oh, you're going that way?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
shit.
sorry. I know it's difficult for you, but you have to anticipate when you're cycling in Paris. We're turning left, actually. When you want to change direction on street like that, it's very difficult.
I mean, when you look at best practice for bicycle infrastructure, which is 100 years old, you don't throw cyclists out into traffic.
So this is the only place where the crossing has been treated with green paint.
Oh, okay. Copenhagen style, right?
Yeah, and there is a cycle box where you can see a lot of scooters and mopeds. You can see them.
Yeah.
They are not allowed, of course, to be there, but they are. There is one cyclist, he can't access to the bike box.
I mean, the green paint across the intersection is something that has been in place in Denmark for many years. It's proven to increase visibility, so it's great that that's here.
Again.
Right there. That's what you see. This is a car city. What's the network like here? I mean, can you cycle all over Paris?
No, there is no bicycle network. To be very honest with you, I think they don't believe in bicycle as a solution to move people around. So they don't make a line of bike, you know, line of metro, a line of tram, thing from A to B and never stop, and it's always the same design, or at least you try to have something consistent, coherent.
Right. Right, so this is a classic bike share rack here in Paris. It's the 4th largest bike share system in the world. It really is, and has been for a while, the gold standard for bike share systems.
It's a very nice system. It helps a lot of people hop on a bike, try, see that it's nice.
There are cities all over the world that have 1% of the population riding bikes. Cities struggle desperately to get to 2%. Paris, in under 10 years, went from like basically 0
to 3.5.
To 3 to 5% inside the périphérique.
Everybody says Velib has a good share in this improvement of cycling. It's true. And then probably the fact that there's too much traffic and that the underground is completely full with people. It's not a very pleasant travel.
Is that capacity, the underground?
Capacity is at maximum. So people are starting to think we need another solution. And probably we can see that people are taking up cycling even when the city doesn't make infrastructure. I wanted to show you that because that's the design they want to apply for most of their cycle network on big streets.
On street, bidirectional, we threw that out of our best practice 20 years ago. It's simply not safe enough. What if I want to go over there, right? All these destinations are inaccessible.
That's the last generation of cycle tracks here in Paris.
Right.
We talk to the politicians, but now we also want really to talk to the people and say, you can decide this city to become cyclable. We hope it can show the politicians that the people care about it. And it's really our main angle.
Right.
Show the politicians that the people care about cycling.
Which arrondissement are we in right now?
We are in the 14th.
The 14th.
The very edge of the 14th.
So you're at the edge, you're near the périphérique here,
Yes.
but you still feel like you're very much in Paris.
Yes, yes, yes. It's very symbolical and psychological. When I lived in Malakoff, actually it's 200 meters from here, over the périphérique. I was not inside Paris. My postal code was not 75.
Marie Darrieussecq is one of the most prolific authors of her generation. Compared to Kafka by critics, she has written more than 15 books, translated into 40 languages. She's fiercely passionate about Paris, the city in which she became such a successful writer.
You say we're inside the walls right now.
Yes, it's a castle. The périphérique works like the moat around a castle.
So there you go, that's mobility. That's how a big city works, isn't it, or what?
I hate it.
Yeah. So when you moved here from the provinces, was it to become a writer? Did you already feel like you wanted to do that then?
It was my dream to come to Paris when I was a child. I wanted to leave my small village. And I finally managed to come to Paris at 19. Wow, and life began, really. And I loved Paris. And it was very difficult. I didn't have enough money, etc. But I just stayed. Now my relation to the city is more ambivalent. but I still love it. These sort of shabby little gardens are made by the Parisians. They try to have plants everywhere, you know, in all the little mini spots.
So this is actually, somebody takes care of this.
Some neighbor takes care of this. You've got to have a license to have a right to plant things.
Okay.
And they hate dogs.
And they hate dogs, yeah, okay, fair enough.
This is a collective garden. Before it was a beautiful, how do you call that? Un terrain vague.
Like an empty
Empty
lot.
Space, yes,
Empty lot, yeah.
lot. So this empty lot was full of wild apricot trees, fig trees, apple trees, all the things the people had casted away, you know.
Yeah, and it grew an orchard.
And it grew, yeah. The railway owners, they cut all the wild trees. And they put, you know, this very clean, sterile green leaf of plastic. You see what I mean?
Oh, God, really?
And all the neighbors got really furious. And so after a long battle, but perhaps, I don't know if it's typical or not of Paris, I don't know, but the neighbors managed to have these gardens. I'm not part of it, but I think it's a very good idea.
Dario Sec isn't living in an ivory tower. After the Paris attacks, she joined Charlie Hebdo to stand in solidarity with her fellow citizens. She now has a column in the socially engaged newspaper.
It was more a citizen reaction. All I can do is write, so I wrote them and I said, hey guys, if I can help, that's all I can do. I don't always agree with them, but that's what I like.
How do you think Parisians have reacted to the obscenely grotesque terror attacks?
I had a love reaction. I really cherished the wounded city, and I wanted to stay more. It's new that it's a wounded city. It's bizarre. It was a very proud city, you know. It's never been a victim, Paris, never. All I know in my novels is that I integrate in the characters now, in their day-to-day life, this fear, this tension. It's new, but I cannot write my novels as if nothing had happened. But look, permis de végétaliser. You see, somebody applied to be able to plant. He hasn't started, or she hasn't started, obviously.
So they can do whatever they want. They can plant food.
Yes, tomatoes, whatever.
Yeah. So we're walking past all sorts of nice gardens. I mean, how does this impact life in Paris? Is it just a little cute thing, or do you feel like there is a...
Oh no, I think it's very important. It's much more than cute. People gather, they talk together, they decide what to plant. I think there's a lot of talking, a lot of reunions. That's why I'm not in it.
All right, okay.
But it's good. People meet for good reasons for planting things. It's nice.
Early Sunday morning in Paris, and we are going to investigate one of the primary issues facing cities around the world, family life. We're going to meet Vianney and his family and talk about the challenges they face living in Paris, the heart of Europe's largest city.
Salut.
Hello.
Hello.
Mikael. Hello.
Vianney.
The average price of an apartment in Paris is 800 euros per square foot. With the same budget, you can buy an apartment twice as big in Berlin or Vienna. The incredibly small size of the average Parisian apartment is especially difficult for families, inevitably pushing more and more of them to the outskirts of the city, where home ownership is still possible.
Go this way, and you'll see the kids' room, which is actually a dormitory, like in a boarding school.
Yeah, okay.
This is the kitchen.
Wow.
Okay, so it's cool, it's nice, it's charming, but it's not. It's tight.
So you still like it?
We do love it. We love the neighborhood. We have many friends.
And how long have you been living here? Did you say how long ago?
15.
15 years.
Yes,
huh?
15 years. I'd say that in 10 years, all of my friends have left for the suburb.
They couldn't afford to stay.
They couldn't afford to stay in Paris, and some of them even go to 40 or 50 kilometers away, which is what we're more or less thinking about. This very arch used to be the gate into Paris.
This was the gate to Paris?
Yes, under Louis XIV.
Today, the gateway to Paris is the périphérique. Beyond the huge highway circling Paris lie the suburbs. From there, millions of workers commute to the city every day on public transport.
From the heart of Paris, we are now heading out into the distant suburbs, the second ring around Paris. And you have bought a house out there. You have to tell me like why you have this double life.
We had no possibility to buy something in Paris, so we bought something in what will be Paris in maybe 20 years. Paris and its suburb is the biggest construction site in Europe and will be so in the next 15 years. 200 kilometers of railway tracks to construct, 100 ground stations to be constructed in suburbs. The life, the design, the landscape will be totally changed.
How do you bring the urban experience with you?
With a few friends, a few years ago, we've decided to create a blog, which is called Enlargir Paris, focusing on cultural venues in the first and second rings. You have more theaters in the suburb than in Paris. We are traveling, touring the suburb, and our purpose is to create a gigantic database of all cultural events in the banlieue to show that people who do live in banlieue need not to go to Paris just to experiment, to go to the theater, to go to see a good movie, to see a good cultural exhibition.
After almost an hour, we're about 35 kilometers from Paris, where the Delorme family purchased the house they will move into when the school year ends.
Here is the border between the big Greater Paris and the beginning of the country, so it's like a village style.
This is yours here?
Yes.
Yeah, right, wow. And how big was this land?
It's like 2 hectares.
2 hectares, okay.
So our house is there, and the animals are over there.
So Felix, what would you say? You're 14, you're a teenager. What if I told you, hey dude, we're moving out to a place like this outside of Copenhagen?
Yeah, I would be disappointed. You can't ride your bike down to the store just to get some, I don't know, candy and then go back. You have to take a long drive. Yeah.
So if I said that to you, you would basically run away from home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. If you could choose to ride a bike like you do every day in Copenhagen, or to ride a horse to school, which would you choose?
Horse.
Horse, yeah, okay, it would be kind of cool, actually.
Let's have a picnic now. Ça va?
Oh.
You got to tell me about your crazy walk, your urban pilgrimage.
Yeah. Last week, we've spent 2 days and 2 nights walking without stopping through the whole Paris suburbs. With a GPS, we have opened a sentier, a pass that we will publish on the web. It will be the pedestrian pass through the banlieue. And the idea is to show that the Greater Paris exists. We've been through it and we've seen many places that's worth it.
And thank you for your hospitality. Thank you. Santé, les enfants.
Santé.
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 See that? That's the peripherique, that's the motorway that goes all the way around Paris. So we're actually outside of the proper city right now. I've heard it's over here. This is the weirdest place in the world to be looking for a restaurant.
Just so we're clear, we are literally under the peripherique in the 19th borough. And believe it or not, we're looking for a restaurant. A strange one, of course, but this isn't your typical setting. The Frean Pony illegally occupies this 5,400 square foot squat, once a storage space for the city's road services.
That's cool.
Check it out. Whoa.
It was launched in 2015 by a group of friends who were convinced the space could be put to better use.
We found it.
You find it. I know it's not easy.
No, it was not easy. We're here to help.
I know that.
Yeah.
And you're gonna help?
Should we just get started?
Yeah.
Aladdin Charny has been hosting parties in squatted buildings throughout Paris forever. In his unique restaurant, all the food comes from the nearby Rungis market. Each morning, Aladdin picks up food that would otherwise go to waste. In exchange for a full meal, people give what they want or what they can.
For example, I don't know how to say in English, haricot vert. Normally it has to go to the garbage.
They're going to throw this out.
Yeah, really?
Right.
And not just this one, maybe 5, 10, 20 tons per day.
These are perfect.
Yes, they're perfect, I know.
So all the people here, are they volunteers or who are they?
Yes, there's just 2 persons who was paid. The chief and the people who clean the dishes.
Okay.
Because I don't know any volunteer who want to clean the dishes.
Nobody wants to do dishes.
So we have to pay it. Yes.
You don't even want to do dishes, do you?
Please do it.
Is it hard to find chefs who want to come and cook for you?
They come to us, in fact.
The Frean Pony is run by a different chef each day. And so Aladdin has worked with more than 30 chefs who usually cook in high-end restaurants throughout the city.
In the morning, you don't know what you're making tonight because you don't know what food you got.
Aladdin called me and told me what they found on the market.
Yeah.
On Voisins.
And then you start Googling recipes? No, I'm joking.
Really? I start to think about what I can do, and the main thing is to just try to make diverse.
You're now serving 100 people here every evening? 4 days a week?
4 days a week.
Freestyle?
Yes.
If you want to eat here, you have to get here in time.
You have to be the first one, and then when you open the door at 7, there's like 80 person at the entrance, and it was crazy, and it was a little bit
And
fun.
they line up outside this door here in the middle of nowhere.
Wait.
There's a bunch of people well-dressed waiting to eat free food. Yeah. But who are the people who eat here?
There's a difference between the people who eat here and the people that we want. At the beginning, we really wanted a place where we're gonna mix homeless and refugees and prostitutes, because we're an area where there is a lot of prostitutes, and people from Paris who have some money.
The bobos.
And bobos. That's it.
Okay, the mix of the people became
Yes,
more bobo and less.
Yes, but when we're gonna begin to work with the city to have more homeless and prostitutes and have a real mix, because we want this mix.
So this crowd here now, it looks like a lot of bobo, but
yes, but refugees are coming, but they're late.
Okay.
You know, they're always late because they are moving in group and they're moving at foot, so they're always late. But we keep the 25 meals for them.
You live in a squat.
Yes.
How does this contribute to you feeling like a Parisian?
When I'm squatting a place, for me it's like poetry, because the building gives me some space and I give him back some life. And in every squat that I open, I want that people come inside and visit it and enjoy it. That's my contribution to Paris.
Cool.
Bon appétit,
Merci bien.
as they say in French.
For 60 years, this motorway has just moved all sorts of automobiles round and round and round Paris. And underneath, the space has been completely neglected, unusable. Look at what we're doing here. Refugees from Ethiopia, we have the typical trendy Parisians, we have all these people meeting underneath a motorway. This is space that belongs to the citizens of the city. Camille. Hello.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
And you, pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Hi, sorry.
Felix, we're gonna play football, and I'm gonna hurt tomorrow probably.
Maybe.
But, yeah.
I mean, they're a bit aggressive.
They're a bit aggressive. Oh, great.
Camille has founded Réfugiés Bienvenus, Welcome Refugees, an association that matches a family who has a room to spare with a refugee in need of shelter. And Camille hopes a friendship develops along the way. That's where football comes into play.
French people are welcoming them from 1 month to, well, sometimes a year in their home to provide them with accommodation, because they're supposed to have an accommodation provided by the states, but only 40% of them actually do get this accommodation because the centers are all filled up.
Right.
So basically,
overcapacity.
They live in the streets. Basically, we don't want them to live in the streets, obviously. And there are so many French people, Parisian people, who are willing to welcome them into their homes to basically provide them with a temporary accommodation, so that afterwards they can do it on their own. But in the meantime, to help them, get back on their
Right. Just a helping hand until they,
exactly.
get them out of the nest, as it were. You can't romanticize it, but you can. One ball, people from all over the world just playing, just trying to score a goal, just trying to win, but just enjoying the match. And all we're going to remember is 2 goals to Denmark. Yeah. Amazing.
After the game, we have a drink with Papi, who arrived in Paris 2 years ago from Congo.
When Faisal arrived, it was horrible.
Horrible.
Because I knew nobody and I had no help until I met Camille. So she's the one who trying to help me to drive my entire story. She knew that I was homeless. Then I received a call saying, no, I'm calling from Refugee Bienvenue, and are you still in need of a place to sleep? And I said, of course, yes, because since I've been here, it's almost a year and a half, and I've been sleeping on the subway, on the train station, and until that call, that changed everything. Then from that moment, they have introduced me into a family. That was the turning point of my life. I received my papers, I started working. It's more than a year now.
So what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm working at the Red Cross.
Mm-hmm. The Red Cross?
Yeah. I'm trying to build up my family and trying to wait and welcome my wife and my kids.
Refugee crises present our societies with a host of challenges, but our cities are magnets for people all over the world. They always have been, they always will be. You don't solve the questions of immigration and refugee crises here on a football pitch, but you do something very simple. You make people feel welcome.
Je vais juste dire bonjour à Atman. Ça va?
Ça va, tu vas bien?
Bah ouais, très bien.
This is a really life-sized neighborhood right from the beginning. I mean, the guy has said hello to probably about 20 people literally since we first arrived with the car. Man, that's a neighborhood, you know? So Fouad, Linda, you both were born here and grew up here?
Exactly.
Yes?
Tu as grandi ici?
Ouais. We are 5 kilometers from Paris, right?
Exact.
I mean, do you feel like you are a Parisian?
Of course not.
No?
Quand je suis à l'étranger, je suis parisien. Quand je suis à Bobigny, je suis pas parisien.
For Parisian, we are banlieusards. You know, I work in Paris for Le Monde, and when I say I'm from Bobigny, they said, really, you live in 9-3?
The postcode?
Exact. So it's very negative for the other person, but for us, I think it's...
It's positive.
It's positive. So you can call yourself that and with pride. With,
of course I'm proud.
Everyone here remembers the 2005 riots. After the controversial death of 2 teenagers trying to avoid the police, 10,000 cars and 230 buildings were burned. 3,000 people were arrested over the course of 3 weeks. To many Parisians, the banlieue, a French word for suburbs, and especially the 93rd, are still associated with violence and poverty.
There were some serious problems in this neighborhood a couple of years ago. But, I mean, now we're walking, this does not look like there are many problems.
Pour moi, la violence dans les quartiers, effectivement, on va pas se mentir, il y a des vols, il y a des arrachages, donc des gens qui piquent les sacs. Mais la vraie violence dans les quartiers, c'est quoi? C'est quand vous habitez dans un appartement ici et que l'appartement est rempli de fuites, d'inondations, que l'appartement est dans un état de délabrement. Ça, c'est aussi une violence. C'est la violence sociale.
So tell me about this neighborhood. Where are the people from originally?
They are from Asia, from Pakistan, from Africa, from Algeria, Morocco, you know?
Just a good mix.
Melting pot.
A melting pot,
yeah.
Huh? And it works.
Oui, ça marche. À partir du moment où les gens ont un travail, à partir du moment où ils peuvent finir les fins de mois. C'est-à-dire qu'à partir du moment où ils peuvent acheter des fruits et des légumes pour pouvoir faire à manger. À partir du moment où ils peuvent payer leur loyer. C'est ça qui est important.
So we have talked about the past, but now we're going to see maybe the future. Well, tell me, where are we going now?
Now to the mission locale. We go to see 10 teenagers.
En fait, ils sont en train de les préparer à trouver un emploi, mais un emploi durable. Bonjour tout le monde.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Do they have a dream job?
Qu'est-ce que tu aimerais faire plus tard?
Agent d'escale aéroportuaire.
Ce serait responsable commercial.
Moi, j'aimerais faire game designer.
Game designer?
C'est ça.
C'est cool. What was your experience of growing up in 9-3?
Après, c'est normal, mais après, on veut suivre l'exemple de nos grands frères au début.
C'est-à-dire?
Dans les grands de la cité, tout ça, on veut faire pareil. Puis après, quand on grandit, on comprend que c'est pas ça la vraie vie. Donc là, on est ici pour se rattraper.
I visited a neighborhood today that has been labeled by the French media as the epicenter of everything bad in French society, populated by people that the former President Sarkozy labeled as racailles, worthless riffraff. All I saw was urban citizens. I met a group of kids whose greatest wish, like kids all over the world, is just an honest shot at a decent job, and to be included in the grander vision of Paris that the politicians in the heart of the city talk about. It's the end of a working day for us here in Paris, and I think I'm about to cast myself headlong into something a little bit crazy. Hello, salut. Tout le monde. When did you start jumping in the water?
Well, it's been like since 3 years we do this.
3 years? Yeah.
We love like swimming between friends here, and especially during the summer. It's a little bit late.
It's October.
Until recently, a municipal law banned swimming in Paris's public waters, even though they are technically clean enough to swim in. Jules, Amadou, and Julie have changed that, one swim at a time. With their Facebook group, Baignade Urbaine, they have become the Rebel Urban Bathing Squad, inspiring hundreds of people to reclaim the canals.
But why is it important to be able to jump in the canals of Paris? Why don't you just go to a swimming pool?
Yeah, but because it's like an experience. Here we are swimming in an urban space, you know.
Right.
It's very, very special. You can like swim and see the building. It's very nice actually.
And it's free.
And it's free. Yeah.
And it's free.
You come with us?
I'm coming with. I have to.
Yeah,
The director said I had to do this. Of course. Is it cold?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Something like 13 degrees.
13 degrees. I mean, you can just sort of stand here and wait for the camera and talk to the camera, or you just jump, right? Okay. Allez les bleus.
It all started when they traveled to Amsterdam, where it's easy and legal to swim in the city's public waters. Why not in Paris, they thought. At first, only a few people showed up, but suddenly it was 20, then 50, and now more than 300 people dive into the canals at every event. But let's be clear, this is an activity best suited for warm summer days.
De plus en plus, l'été, par exemple, on s'en rend compte, les gens ne peuvent plus se retrouver avec autant de personnes en fait, dans un même espace. Même les bars, les terrasses, c'est de plus en plus cher, etc. Du coup, on est de plus en plus poussé et du coup, les canaux, c'est un peu le bord et maintenant, l'eau, c'est la prochaine étape. Voilà. On est poussé de plus en plus au bout du pont-levis.
Quand on se baigne, tout de suite, en fait, tu te prends une espèce de chape de plomb sécuritaire, que ce soit des gens, soit des policiers qui te disent que c'est hyper dangereux, que tu vas te tuer, que tu es inconscient. Alors que dès que tu as un peu conscience de tes capacités, tu fais attention aux autres, il n'y a quasiment jamais de problème. Mais on est un peu drogué à la réglementation.
You are not just a group of friends who just want to go swimming. I mean, you are thinking about the public space.
Certains d'entre nous sont urbanistes de formation et on s'est aussi très rapidement rendu compte que c'était une super manière de se réapproprier la ville.
Dès qu'il fait chaud, en fait, toutes les barrières explosent complètement et les gens se jettent à l'eau, découvrent pour ceux qui habitent ici et qui n'ont jamais perçu en fait le canal comme étant un territoire qu'on peut s'approprier. Bah là, d'un coup, on se rend compte du pouvoir vraiment excitant et vraiment fun que ça apporte en ville en fait.
It is really the most refreshing way to end a fantastic day in Paris, the Rebel Metropolis, the life-size city. It's the same boat on the very first day. It's Sandra.
Yeah.
Sandra!
Sandra!
Sandra! Je t'aime! So what about you, Felix? What about the people that we've seen on the street and the people that we've met and all the projects that we've been visiting?
I thought it was very cool that people was doing that, and I also thought about why we weren't doing the same thing with the harbor in Copenhagen with transporting vegetables and fruits.
And you said to me, Daddy, I want to move to Paris. I want to live here at some point. Why would you want to move here?
It's about how you can live on the street and you know everybody. You go down to your local cafe and have a coffee in the morning, eating a croissant, and just knowing everybody. And
so that local feeling on whatever street you're living on?
Yeah.
And the girls?
Yeah, they're also kind of nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you remember most from the last 5 days in Paris?
The family.
The family?
And the football.
And the football. Because the winning goal, right? Felix to Daddy, and yeah, that's all we're going to remember from this trip. We came to Paris in search of an urban revolution. We've met inspiring urban citizens. Like in many cities around the world, we're trying to inspire change. And here they're rallying against the greatest hurdle, bureaucracy and an elitist political system. This city is a survivor. It's a fighter. But right now it is balanced delicately on a razor's edge between doing all the right things in the most epic and visionary way, a way that will set the standard for cities around the world for the next 100 years, and falling under the wheels of extreme gentrification, turning this place into a playground for the rich and famous and a glossy amusement park for tourists. This is where Paris must decide its future.